people remain without power in Texas. Our report highlights just how bad things are behind post office doors, and tonight there are new calls for hello. Not hello, but hello. Hey, hi, everybody, social media family. Being whatsoever racist, and likewise to say to you all, being of any visitors to my own personal channel, chat room, or whatever said, and likewise, whatever races, and being of the old, young alike, both are two sexual genders, of males and females, representing not only the human species, but then nevertheless the global community within our post 911 era of a new millennium, of our new millennium. And whereas the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight compared on to how formerly previously prior to then, it was at a quarter midnight with these rather biblical playtimes. Yes, so I say to you all, being of whatsoever races, and of both two sexual genders of the old and young alike. But then, although any visitors to my own personal channel, chat room channel, or whatever I've said, could possibly be of whatsoever, or whatever walks of life, factions, or society lifestyle preferences. Then my social media family cannot be. This is tea. This is drinking glass. Or tea or juice, rather. I hope you so much that. That was good. Getting back to some such other. Should have said hold that thought if I didn't. Sorry about that. I think I did, but in case I didn't, I said hold that thought now. And disregard what you're hearing in the background. I mean, after all, we got some real El Stupido dumb coughs or sickles upon the increase in the world of certain neighbors, being of whom are always attempting to interrupt a social media broadcast or video of mine as if I have to speak upon them all the time because misery loves company. Anyway, though, getting back to some or such other, yes. So far, the basic intro is concerned before I were to get to speaking upon any subject matter of the issue at hand, and no offense is meant to be directed at any past, present, or future sexual assault victims or rape victims for the last mentioned. Yes, before I were to get to speaking upon any, in other words, topic of discussion to be debated of a given argument with many different views and opinions to be possibly affiliated or associated with and representing some of such thereof, be it for the last mention or something similar or something altogether different. Then let me finish up this basic intro as an introduction before I were to get into give my own views and opinions. Regardless of whether or not that my person were to conduct a Q&A session, that all depends on how I feel as a person given my time. Oh, please excuse me. Let me start again. Then whatsoever, or whatever, however said, that being which my person can or could possibly speak upon, be it one thing or another. Then don't kill the messenger. I'm just here to deliver, and hopefully with that much less useless of experience of profanity, much rather instead of with that much more cuss words to simply say. And if you have a difference of opinion about what I could go about speaking upon, or how I would go about, speaking my views and opinions upon this or that, however said, then I would appreciate it if you were to employ the uses of or use discretion in bringing it to my attentions, be it as a means of rebuttal or sarcasm, being a reply or response, because I myself personally have a zero tolerance level for any negative internet trolls of characters being a life. No, please excuse me. Being of whom could remind me of or have me reflect upon a character of one of the proverbial neighbors from hell, a dime a dozen, probably nuisance problem neighbors like that one that I had mentioned earlier, attempted to interrupt this particular social media broadcast or video of mine as we have it for the present given time. Yes. And if you were to come off like one of the likes, then first of all, I will silence your chat. And then second of all, I will block you. And very few people or person, being of whom I block, do I permit re-entry into my own personal chat room and a channel for that of the atmosphere of my domain. And because the majority of most, being of whom I block them permanently than just temporarily. So you have been forewarned. Warned, well, whatever I've said. You know. Then how are you all doing? Hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said, to be feeling all right, or not best of all to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly come or be stressed, you and yours, your family and friends, hopefully me and mine, likewise as well, or all the same. However said. Did I speak in correct, proper standard English grammar of the American dialect of some of such qualities and quantities or not? But then I wish you all well. I really do, believe it or not. You know. Anyway, though, and now that I've gotten the basic intro as an introduction or preliminaries out the way, then let me just dive in. Cannonball! Come on in, the water's fine, you all. Follow the bouncing ball of conversation. Take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouths, unless you have something equally as well significant to say that would benefit not just yourself, but one and all your fellow American citizens and all foreigners alike, being of which could possibly be considered as something spoken of a line of thought on a positive note of interest. I'm sure that one and all would appreciate it, as well as I myself. Okay. Moving right along. As you all know, if you have been tuning in to the latest current events, whereas a state within our own union, being as it is for the continental United States of America, USA, to simply say, have become subject to experiencing what would be considered by some to be a natural disaster, compared to how still others could suspect it to be partly man-made, if not altogether. And that is that snowstorm that happened down there within that particular state down south within the Union, for that being of our own continental USA, United States of America, being which is for that of the state of Texas. And whereas it looks like a case of situation, did I say situation? Situation is the way that street characters pronounce that word. Situation. What up, home ties? What it be like Ace Boone Cone? Blah, 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 yada, yada. Yippee-yi-yay, zing, zang. Whatever, the urban cowboys or whatever. Then getting back to some or such other, yes, it's a case or situation of our fellow American citizens or Texans, however said, have become subjected to experiencing the aftermath of a snowstorm down there, be it one that was natural or man-made or whatever I have said. And now they appear to be like those being of American refugees for the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. And store shelves are being empty, like snap, crackle, and pop. 1, 2, 3, gone. Disappear. come back tomorrow when the Salvation Army or the Red Cross come on through, because there ain't nothing for nobody left. No. I know that a lot of the local businesses that are of stores that have item products of the different ones available. I know they clean house so far as making the moolah. Hopefully, some of them were, giving away some stuff free of charge, if not altogether, or for little or no money, and to sympathize and empathize with that is the proprietors or store owners, to sympathize and empathize with their fellow Americans and foreigners alike. I would like to say with more Americans than foreigners or immigrants, but that would be wrong, because a life is a life. They're human beings. They are fellow human beings, fellow world citizenry, fellow global citizens, So it's really scary down there, If anybody, you would have to not be in your right mind to want to pay a visit to the state of Texas. As a matter of fact, a senator from Texas, he hauled ass to get out of there for a little while. Excuse my language, pardon my French. Sorry about that. I should have forewarned you all before I had for the uses of that particular expletive or profanity or cuss word. But I was like, what was he thinking? That is a political career killer, You're supposed to be a representative, political senator of a state within the union, and the very minute that it becomes subjected to experiencing that, be it a natural or man-made disaster, you haul, in other words, butt, to put like that, to rephrase that, you haul butt out of there. You get out of Dodge. And before then, he's telling the different Texas American citizens, he's saying, we have a pretty bad snowstorm coming our way, so stay in your houses or homes or apartments or places of residences. If you're homeless, stay within homeless. Well, that's a different story. They don't really count. Well, no, I'm not. Don't go there. I'm not disrespecting them, but I'm not saying, they're already outdoor. Where can they go? But so he's telling the different American citizens or Texans who have places to go that they call their own to stay within their habitats, because as I look at it now, maybe he wanted them to stay in their different places of residence, so there would be less of a line at the airport, so him and his family can get out of Dodge, So one Texas resident of a fellow American citizen was asked by a news reporter the question of, what do you think about Senator politician Mr. Ted Cruz? And this person was like saying, well, as far as I'm concerned, he left town. Now, why don't he go back out of town and stay out of town if he's not willing to help his fellow Texans here, fellow American citizens? You're supposed to represent us, and you haul and tail out of here. You circling your wagons with your family, and you just think about you and yours and not anybody else or your fellow Texans, When some of such others are getting restless, like they would say back in the old Western days, you're like every man for himself. Is that why you wanted us all to stay within our homes or houses or apartments, so that there will be less of a line at the airport or the train station, so you and your family can get out of town? What? Huh? That should be a no-brainer, self-explanatory. And whereas from there, the governor and the mayor of the state of Texas was saying, well, that's a real bummer, to put it mildly. We're here, and yet he wants to haul butt and get out of town, get out of Dodge. That is pathetic. That's pitiful. The only reason why he went back to Texas was because it become what you would call let me see, how should I put it? What's the word they have when a news story breaks? Anyway, I think y'all get the general idea of what I'm trying to say. But once it hit the airways, become a major news headline story, something about a news break. No, that's not what I meant. Let me check it. I have written quite a bit of footnotes for y'all. A breaking news story. Yeah, that's what I had in mind. Here it is, where he was originally going to get out of town, out of Texas for the weekend, but the very minute that it become a major news headline story, he decided to cut that vacation a couple or few days short and come back like the next following day, because he had egg on his face, he had mud on his face. He's a dirty dog, leaving his fellow Texans hanging. Man, so if any of you all that you would have to either be crazy, drunk, high, or maybe a combination of some such for any American citizen elsewhere within the country or nation wanting to pay for any American citizen otherwise elsewhere within our own supposed so-called Democratic Republic of Democracy who could possibly want to pay a visit to the state of Texas, and because it's like Hurricane Katrina down there, baby. It is really stinking foul. With this the electricity, electrical or electrical, the electrical supplier board of directors. They are in charge or in control of an independent grid, that is not up under the mandates to be dictated policies and procedures and a protocol to them like they would if they was up under the FCC, otherwise a government regulatory commission, and they had a warning something like a decade ago that if they don't upgrade their grid for the state of Texas, they're in for a rocky roller coaster ride. And here it is. That's exactly what happened. Texas is like, like similar to the water crisis in Michigan. Texas is like the new Hurricane Katrina aftermath. People or persons are like, trying to grab as much as they can on short notice to stock up. I'm like, were there any preppies down there, survivalists? Couldn't they see what was going to happen the last time around when the grid in Texas had failed because of improper regulatory procedures? Excuse me. Sorry about that, y'all. And so now they're paying for it. So I say, getting back to some such other, And I, for one, if I was down there as an American citizen of a Texan, I'd be trying to haul butt to get up out of the state of Texas. If I have any, relatives and friends of my family elsewhere, because it's bad down there in Texas. The state of Texas is tore up from the floor up, man. I see a number of crises that's going to plague that state within the union. I'm not trying to come off like some doomsday prophet or anything like that, but I'm just speaking as a realist, you know. Though I am a believer in God, not a communist, not a socialist, but I'm just speaking as a realist, one way or another, regardless of my person being, in other words, a Christian and a.k.a. Protestant. But the state of Texas it's a total mess. Trust me. It's doomsday down there in Texas, you know. I see like riots, and that's including race riots and then some, you know. I mean, unless the government acts fast, Joe Biden's government now, or I think they may have a much better chance with the president-elect compared to the former ex-impeached president being President Mr. Moneybags, Donald Trump. I'm not going to call him Mr. Pussy Groper President. I mean, after all, as far as I know, he hasn't like say, or how you say, sexually assaulted or raped anybody like another former ex-president who got away with murder. Then Mr. Big, Mr. Bill, Mr. President, Mr. former ex-president Bill Bobcat, Pop the Putty Cat Clinton. I chase the cat. Why must I be like that? Nothing but the dog in me. Dog catcher. Dog cat. But then he had learned from his first impeachment trial proceedings. First impeachment trial. He had learned from his first impeachment trial process compared to another president, the most recently impeached president, who had to be impeached not just once, but a couple of times before it would have finally sink in that the committee or commission or whatever it's called is not playing with him. But unfortunately, he was acquitted both times for both impeachment processes, you know. And now he will be available to run again for political office, that's including the presidency, within the year 2024. But then getting back to the original topic of discussion, you know, the subject matter of a given argument at hand, you know. Then I wonder if Senator politician Ted Cruz should be impeached for wanting to take a vacation in the middle of a crisis happening within his own state, in the state of Texas, at some given moment of time. Yeah. Anyway, it's really messed up down there, you all. I mean, I feel sorry for those Texans and foreigners, immigrants down there. Man, imagine that. And there are still Texas citizens, being of whom having the scrummies to find a clean drinking water supply. There's this one Texan American. Texas. There was one Texan of American citizen, but like that, who was literally taking snow. She got one of them propane grill. I was watching the news report, and she was putting snow into this propane grill to boil it, to heat it up, you know, that is sterilized that snow to become a water supply, an extra additional water supply for she herself and her family. That's just how drastic, how devastating it is down there. You know, they got long lines of people or person of Texas American citizens lined up for the different fast food places because the store shelves have been cleared of food. They're waiting on some more emergency supplies coming from, what is it? The Salvation Army, as well as from the Red Cross. You know, it's terrible out there in Texas. Man, it's a bad day to be a Texan down south in that particular state within the Union. Bad day. So that leaves open to a Pandora's box for other crisis, you know, a crisis of lawlessness, muggings, robberies, burglaries, murders, rapes, etc. I mean, it is messed. The state of Texas is messed up. It is tore up from the floor up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is. Words cannot describe. It's like one big toilet bowl down there. One big filthy, stinking toilet bowl, overrunning with human feces as well as with urine. They having to sterilize their water supply. You know, they don't have any other available water supply at some given moment in time. You have a Texas American citizen actually taking snow and putting it on that is applying it to a propane grill to sterilize the snow so that it could become an additional supply of H2O water for she herself and her whole family. So imagine the people or persons who don't have a propane grill to sterilize snow to become an additional H2O water supply, you know, where they're having to that much more rely on what they can get from the stores. Then the store has been cleared of the shelves of food, item products, as well as water supply. And then likewise, they have to rely upon that of, you know, Good Samaritan, or supposed so-called Good Samaritan agencies or organizations like the Salvation Army as well as the Red Cross to get more water supply. Man, I mean, though slowly but surely, Texas is coming back into its own. Like they got some of the electricity back on, but there's still people or personal fellow American citizens of Texans down there that don't have any heat, etc. Man, it is crazy down there. Then I'm gonna wrap this up, y'all, on this last note of interest, just as I would speak upon the subject matter at hand, as well as give the greeting, and then I will give the conclusion by saying, if you have not gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I hope that you would think to do so now, while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing or realizing, or whatever I said, you know, or that is something such a given moment in time, how he had given his life upon the cross of Calvary to become that perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me, so that if any of us, being whatsoever races and whatever walks of life, factions of society, lifestyle preferences, being of the old, young alike, or both two sexual genders, males and females, representing not only the human species, but then nevertheless the global community within this post-911 era of a new millennium apocalyptic day and age, where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight, compared on our former previous or prior to then, it was a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. Word to profess some of such faith in him, from there we become and be blessed in one God another, in more ways one. First and foremost, with his salvation, being which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. And second of all, where we will be blessed while we're still down here upon the planet Earth. But if you don't have that blood sacrifice of our Lord and Savior Christ, the Messiah delivered upon him within your soul, then your final destination, so I say in state for the record, will be the lake of fire, damn hell, with the rest of the unsaved, unbelievers, and unbelievers, to be tortured and terrorized by the devil and demons forever, compared to how we, being of whom are believers, will be across that great divide that separates heaven from hell, in the company of like-minded believers and the present guardians and angels as citizens of the kingdom of heaven. You all take care and be safe. Be blessed, not stressed. If you're not already of that status, hopefully you become a be of that. And I'll talk to you later. Peace.